End of World+System+Space+Stocking+Wife protection demon, Zhang Qi returned to the time when his wife and daughter were still alive before the outbreak of the virus. In this life, he will use his life to protect his family and never let them suffer any harm. He sells houses and cars, hoards goods crazily, and takes his family to live in the invincible shelter he has built. When external survivors were unable to eat enough, Zhang Qi's dog was fed with plenty of meat and balanced nutrition. Others are anxious and struggling in the apocalypse, while Zhang Qi and his family grow flowers and fish, teasing birds and watching the scenery. Family is everything to him. If anyone dares to touch his wife and daughter, he will make anyone pay a painful price. Chapter 1. Wife, I will use my life to protect you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The brain storage of adoptive fathers. Husband, are you listening to me? You promised me never to contact my ex-girlfriend again, why? Woo-woo. Zhang Qi suddenly regained consciousness, staring at the pitiful woman crying in front of him, feeling extremely shocked. This is his wife who died 10 years ago. Zhang Qi trembled and reached out his hand, gently touching Chu Xinrou's cheek with his fingertips. Very warm and realistic. Zhang Qi wept with joy as he returned to the time when his wife had not yet been infected by zombies. Husband, why are you crying? Chu Xinrou's heart was flustered, but she still softened. Don't cry, we've been married for 8 years, and I still trust you very much. It's just that you must explain this matter to me clearly. Zhang Qi pressed Chu Xinrou into his arms, greedily breathing in the scent of his wife's body. In his past life, he had a big argument with Chu Xinrou over this matter, and both of them spoke hurtful words to each other in anger. Zhang Qi angrily moved out and separated from Chu Xinrou. Who would have expected that soon after, the zombie virus would erupt completely? When Zhang Qi rushed home desperately, Chu Xinrou had already been infected and turned into a walking corpse. He can only let Chu Xinrou rest in tears from then on. Zhang Qi lived in regret every day. He hated himself for not being able to protect Chu Xinrou's safety, and even more so, he hated the zombies for taking the life of his beloved wife. He can only vent his anger by constantly killing zombies. In the 10 years of the apocalypse, countless zombies died in the hands of Zhang Qi, and he was even given the title of God of Killing by survivors. Looking at Chu Xinrou with tears on her face in her arms, Zhang Qi forced herself to calm down. Since God had given him a chance to be reborn, he must do his best to protect his wife's safety. However, the most important thing now is to resolve misunderstandings. Zhang Qi explained, "Wife, you have wronged me. She came to the company to find me on her own. I was afraid my colleagues would laugh at me, so I took her to the coffee shop for a conversation. I absolutely have no feelings for her." Chu Xinrou became alert and said, "Why did she come to you for?" Zhang Qi carefully recalled, and to be honest, she said she wanted to get back together with me, but don't worry, I have clearly rejected her. You are the only one in my heart. Chu Xinrou's face showed surprise and she said, "Our child is already in kindergarten. How could she be too embarrassed to damage our family? Forget it. Husband, you should keep a distance from her." Zhang Qi nodded and said, "Don't worry, I have a sense of propriety." The crisis was resolved, and Zhang Qi's mind was quickly occupied by primitive impulses. He held on to Chu Xinrou's slender waist and his gaze became hot. "Husband, in broad daylight, you wouldn't want to." Zhang Qi chuckled and picked up Chu Xinrou horizontally, heading straight to the soft bed in the bedroom. In the apocalypse, many women wanted Zhang Qi's protection, voluntarily sacrificed themselves, and even crazily seduced. But Zhang Qi was never moved. Wherever his heart is, his body is. 10 years now his favorite person is by his side, as a normal man, he can't hold back. A few hours later. Chu Xinrou's face turned red and she fell asleep, wrapped in a blanket. Zhang Qi sat by the bed, staring at her without blinking for over half an hour. Lost and regained, he felt that he couldn't see enough for how long. At this time, with half a month left until the outbreak of the virus, Zhang Qi must start preparing for the end of the world. He won't shout all over the street that zombies are coming, otherwise he might just be caught as mentally ill. He wants to hoard a wave of supplies to ensure that his family can live comfortably and steadily in the apocalypse. Zhang Qi checked the deposit on his mobile phone, and there is still 2.3 million left. These funds can purchase a lot of goods, but where to store them is a problem, and the shelf life of the food also needs to be considered. Buzz, buzz. His phone vibrated, and it was his boss who sent several voice messages. Zhang Qi was afraid of waking up Chu Shinro, so he walked lightly to another room and clicked on it to listen. Boss. Where did you die, Zhang Qi? Why didn't you come to work? I don't care if you lost your wife or your daughter, just get out of here. Boss. If you lose all your attendance, you will be charged an additional 2,000 yuan. You are required to report to the company within half an hour, otherwise you will bear the consequences. Boss. When you come to work, please buy me a cup of coffee. By the way, you can stay and work overtime tonight and catch up with all the delays you've made. When Zhang Qi listened to the first voice, he was already quite popular. He usually works tirelessly, working 365 days overtime a year. In order to earn money, he has not spent a good time with his family. However, now he is only absent from work for half a day, and the boss scolds him along with his wife and children. His boss is in his 50s and usually has a bad mouth. The reason why Zhang Qi has been enduring it is because he wants to give his wife and children a good life, and this job can bring him a decent salary. Now, the Chinese yuan is almost turned into waste paper, and I'm still used to him drying my hair. Zhang Qi made a WeChat call and directly scolded the boss, leaving him confused. When the boss reacted, Zhang Qi had already scolded and hung up the phone. He cursed for over a minute, venting all the anger he had received under the boss's hands over the years. At this moment, his mood was incredibly happy. At this moment, a soft and cute machine-synthesized sound suddenly rang out in Zhang Qi's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the post-apocalyptic home defense system has been officially bound. Ding! Detected WeChat group attacking host behavior, task activated. Please launch a counterattack, the system will give generous rewards after completing the task. System. Zhang Qi opened a work group of nearly 200 people, and sure enough, his boss didn't have the upper hand just now. Now he is crazily insulting and slandering him in the group. Everyone in the group remained silent, afraid of causing trouble. Zhang Qi sneered as he remembered many greetings just now, all of which happened to be given to this guy with his hair in his mouth. When he scolds the boss, it's quite slippery. Who would have let that guy behave unfairly? He always digs holes for Zhang Qi to trip him up. The boss is also unwilling to be outdone. The two of them come and go, cursing wildly in the WeChat group. But soon, the boss realized that he was unreasonable and couldn't even scold Zhang Qi. In anger, he directly removed Zhang Qi from the WeChat group. Ding! Infinite space bound. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing their first mission, rewarding the ability. Physical enhancement. Isn't this his pre-travel ability? A few months after the end of the world, most zombies began to evolve, and surviving humans also awakened various abilities. In the late apocalyptic period, Zhang Qi's ability had reached level 9. With a wave of his hand, he could cut mountains and rivers, but with a collapse of his foot, the earth would shatter. He was a member of countless base raids. He's a lone wolf. No one has ever been able to recruit him. Although the system rewards only one level of abilities, it is more than enough to deal with 7 or 8 ordinary zombies and is quite useful in the early stages of the apocalypse. Husband, I heard a voice just now. Did you argue with someone else? Chu Shinro, dressed in a thin layer of clothing, walked over barefoot, revealing her graceful figure. Zhang Qi, who had just received physical reinforcement, was now covered in strength all over his body. He stared at the sexy Chu Shinro with green eyes, only feeling that the blood inside his body was boiling. Chu Shinro's face was full of disbelief and she said, "Husband, you wouldn't still want to." Chapter 2. Stocking, rice, noodle, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, tea. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 3. Warning, respect my wife. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the third month after the virus outbreak, their food reserves were completely depleted, and Zhang Qi had to take huge risks to go out and search for supplies. After he left, a group of zombies discovered the hiding place of Zhang Jijuan and others. These animals, in order to survive, actually threw their fruits into a group of zombies, allowing them to bite in exchange for escape time. When Zhang Qi returned with a full load of supplies and happened to see this scene, he was going crazy. He had red eyes and fought a bloody path, but the fruit had long been gnawed upon, leaving only its bloody skeleton. He and Zhang Jijuan have never been a family, but unfortunately, he paid an extremely painful price to understand this fact. Hatred filled Zhang Qi's heart, and he looked at Zhang Jijuan sitting at the table, his mouth full of oily food. He wished he could skin and bone him immediately. I really want. Kill. Husband, you're back. Come and have dinner. Chu Shinro saw that Zhang Qi's face was not right. She quickly took a pair of slippers and asked carefully, "What's going on? Is something happening?" Looking at Chu Shinro with a concerned expression, Zhang Qi quickly calmed down. The end of the world has not yet arrived, and the law still exists. He cannot kill anyone yet, otherwise when a zombie attacks, he will be in prison and no one can protect him. A gentle heart and fruit are everything to him. Before doing anything, his first consideration is his family. Zhang Qi softened his expression and shook his head, saying, "It's okay, don't worry." Zhang Jijuan's eyelids were too lazy to tease him. He nibbled on the pork ribs and said vaguely, "Zhang Qi, your daughter-in-law is already a lazy woman. Let her go to your brother's restaurant tomorrow to wash dishes. It just happens that the restaurant is short of manpower." Zhang Jijuan's wife Wang Fengxia also agreed, "Your brother's restaurant has just started, and your husband and wife have the money to contribute effectively. They are both from their own families, so they should help." Chu Shinro was very aggrieved, but she still held back and remained silent. She knew how much Zhang Qi longed for fatherly love in his heart, and she didn't want to turn her back and make Zhang Qi in a dilemma. Zhang Qi's gaze swept over his chubby little brother, who was completely focused on eating, and he sneered coldly. "Let my wife work for you for free, are you also worthy? My wife is lazy. She cooked 8 dishes to entertain you, and I think you guys ate quite delicious. My wife has to do household chores and take care of children. She keeps the house organized and says she's lazy. I think you're blind." Zhang Jijuan choked heavily and then lifted his head to look at Zhang Qi in surprise. His filial son is so big, what's wrong with him? He was about to get angry when he was pressed down by Wang Fengxia beside him. Although Wang Fengxia felt uncomfortable in her heart, she had other plans to come today and didn't want to break ties with Zhang Qi so quickly. She smiled and said, "If you don't come to wash the dishes, then don't come. Zhang Qi, Aunt wants to discuss something with you. Your younger brother is getting married now, isn't it? Your father, me, your brother, his girlfriend, and the 4 of us are living in a 60-square-meter house. It's a bit small, and if we have 1 or 2 more children in the future, it will be even more crowded." As she spoke, she greedily scanned Zhang Qi's large house of over 100 square meters and said, "Why don't you and your brother change houses to live in? After all, you only have 3 people, and a 60-square-meter house is already enough." Zhang Jijuan said in a commanding tone, "Zhang Qi, please pack up as soon as possible and move out within 3 days. Our luggage is packed and we can move in any time. Zhang Qi felt ridiculous. How could they bring up the face of a 60-square-meter remote area with old and dilapidated houses being replaced by a 100-square-meter city center with refined decoration? Do you still look like he will definitely agree? Thinking of how he used to treat these vampires as his family, Zhang Qi wished he could wear them back and wake himself up. He suppressed his anger, picked up the fruit and stuffed it into Chu Shinro's arms, gesturing for her to leave with the child first. Chu Shinro has always trusted Zhang Qi. Without asking why, she walked into the bedroom with a fruit in her arms and casually closed the door. Wow! Zhang Qi suddenly flipped over the dining table, and all the food on the table fell onto Zhang Jijuan, Wang Fengxiao, and Zhang Qi's half-brother Zhang Jinbao. Zhang Jinbao, who was eating delicious food, was startled. He glared at Zhang Qi with a grim expression and said, "You're sick. You've dirted all the brand new clothes I bought. This one costs 12,000. Zhang Qi raised his hand with a big mouth and loudly slapped Zhang Jinbao's face. Didn't I pay for your clothes? You're a waste. Have you ever earned a penny as an adult? How did your restaurant open? Aren't you feeling a bit pressured?" That's all money from Zhang Qi. Now he feels nauseous when he thinks about it. Feeding the dog with this money is 100 times stronger than opening a restaurant for Zhang Jinbao. Zhang Qi, you're crazy. How could you hit my son? Wang Fengxiao rushed over and wanted to hit Zhang Qi, but when she touched Zhang Qi's gaze, her heart suddenly trembled. What a pair of terrifying eyes they are. Zhang Qi struggled with zombies in the apocalypse for 10 years, with a slightly honed murderous aura in her eyes. A woman like Wang Fengxiao, who only knows how to calculate people around her, feels frightened at first glance. How dare she continue to be reckless? She was instantly dumbfounded, hiding behind Zhang Jijuan and tugging at his sleeve. "Husband, take a look at him." "What's this for?" she said. Zhang Jijuan suddenly felt a complete loss of face, but seeing Zhang Qi's furious expression, he didn't dare to command as he used to. He had to turn his head to look at the bedroom and said, "What did Chu Shinro say? Stinky girls, look at me." Before he could finish speaking, Zhang Jijuan let out a scream. Zhang Qi kicked him into the food on the ground and said, "I warn you to respect my wife. Also, take your family and get out of here quickly. You're not allowed to step into my house again in the future." Wang Fengxiao had already screamed in fear and said, "Zhang Qi, have you fallen for evil? He's your father." Zhang Qi dragged Zhang Jijuan, who had been kicked out of the door, and threw him out like garbage. He sneered, "My father no longer existed the moment he abandoned me. If you don't want to be beaten, just leave." Wang Fengxiao and Zhang Jinbao quickly crawled out. Zhang Qi calmed down and then began to clean up the mess on the ground. "Husband, you're feeling tired from work. Let me tidy up and you can come in and take a break." Chu Shinro put on her apron and quickly cleaned the oil stains on the ground. Zhang Qi tightly hugged her from behind. "Shinro, I'm sorry that you've been wrong these years." Chu Shinro's eyes turned slightly red, and she lifted the corner of her lips and smiled, "It's okay, it's all over. I'm glad you recognize their true colors." Zhang Qi nodded and said, "Let's go out and eat with the fruit." He still has a few unused credit cards, which are enough to cover the expenses of their family of 3 for the past half-month. The next day, Zhang Qi left early in the morning and went to the accounting company first. Zhang Jijuan borrowed money from Zhang Qi in the name of borrowing, so he never paid it back. Fortunately, every time she gave money to Zhang Jijuan, Chu Shinro insisted on using a promissory note, which could be effective now. Zhang Qi can definitely retrieve his money through legitimate channels, but he can't wait for time. The accounting company he found is known for its ruthlessness. If Zhang Jijuan doesn't repay the money, he will definitely suffer. After leaving the accounting company, Zhang Qi hung up his house and car at a price lower than the market price, demanding only one, which was to pay in full. The goods he ordered yesterday also arrived in a batch. After the loading and unloading workers moved the goods into the warehouse, Zhang Qi closed the door and loaded all the materials into the space. At this moment, a phone call came in. "Hello sir, I am a clerk from Wang Pet Shop. The Sammy cub you booked is already full moon. May I ask when you will come to pick up the dog?" Zhang Qi responded, "I'll go over now. Guoguo really wants to raise a cute little dog and has been talking about it for several months. This Sammy is the gift prepared by Zhang Qi for Guoguo. Sir, this is the dog you have reserved. Do you still need to buy items such as dog cages and food?" Seeing the Sammy in the hands of the salesperson, Zhang Qi was completely shocked. It must be a coincidence. Chapter 4. Reinforcement, Creating a Shelter for the End of the World. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 5. Rewards, Permanent Preservation of Basement. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. There used to be a small base that overcame all difficulties and risks until the end of the world, but it was destroyed in just half a day due to a cigarette butt. This is a painful lesson. With a lesson from the past, Zhang Qi will definitely take fire prevention measures. He is planning to build a fire isolation belt a few meters away from the protective fence. The width of the isolation zone is about 20 meters, and all trees inside should be cut down to ensure that there are no combustible materials present. Although the scope is broad, the strength is greater with more people. Zhang Qi discussed with the contractor who reinforced the house, and he offered an additional 20,000 yuan to ask the workers to cut down the trees thoroughly. The tools in their hands are all ready-made and very proficient in operation. Quickly, the fire isolation zone was cleared, and the trees that had been cut down were piled up in the yard. Zhang Qi waited until evening when no one was around, and collected all the wood into the space. These woods may still be useful in the future, they cannot be wasted. The hotel cannot keep pets, so Zhang Qi purchased a dog cage and temporarily placed the puppy in the attic of the vacation cabin. 5 days later, the house was reinforced and all the materials ordered by Zhang Qi arrived one after another. At the moment when he completed the acceptance, the system sound in his mind rang out again. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the reinforcement task and receiving a reward. Permanent preservation of the basement. The floor in the corner of the first floor wall gradually turned into a downward extending staircase, and a basement of 200 square meters appeared below the house. At the same time. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Defend Home gift package, which includes doubling the wall's durability value. Double the strength value of glass. The strength value of the gate has doubled. The roof is permanently rainproof and leak-proof. Zhang Qi was overjoyed. The system is so awesome. He walked around the basement, where there was a lot of space and he could easily store some of the supplies for his wife and children to retrieve. Both the basement and the infinite space have a fresh keeping effect. It is very practical to know what it looks like when things are put in and taken out. The bulletproof glass has been systematically improved to become more transparent, bright, sturdy, and durable. Moreover, the outside view can be clearly seen from the inside of the room, but the inside cannot be seen from outside. Zhang Qi originally wanted to purchase an anti-peeping film, which was actually a hassle. After the wall's strength value doubled, the sound insulation effect also greatly improved. Zhang Qi turned on his phone music to the maximum sound and placed it in the next room, but he couldn't hear any sound. The thickness of the steel door he bought has doubled, and it is absolutely impossible to open it by manpower. Zhang Qi can confidently say that unless it is a terrifying weapon like a bomb, the destructive power of ordinary zombies and humans is like scraping sha for a vacation cabin. After ensuring the durability of the house, Zhang Qi's primary consideration was the comfort of living. He not only wants his family to live, but also wants his wife and daughter to live freely and happily. He purchased the best latex paint and repainted the house, and planned several areas. Of course, the children's room belongs to Guogua, and the wall color is Guogua's favorite pink. In addition to furniture such as beds, wardrobes, desks, etc., there are also some toys that little girls like placed inside. His bedroom with Chu Shinro is painted with white latex paint, and although there are few furniture, every one is carefully selected by Chu Shinro, emphasizing cleanliness and simplicity. The dining area is decorated with pots and pans brought by Zhang Qi from home, and the entrance to the basement is located in the corner of the kitchen, making it very convenient to retrieve items. Zhang Qi also planned a video and audio area. He purchased 100 large-capacity memory cards, each of which was filled with movies, TV dramas, variety shows, and novels to enrich his time and give his family something to do in the afterlife. Zhang Qi bought 30 projectors, which are not cheap, but fortunately they can be used for living. 30 projectors are enough for them to use for a long, long time. Zhang Qi bought 50 mobile phones that can connect to projectors. There is no need to buy two high-end phones, as they can read memory cards for around 1,000 yuan. The main feature is a sturdy and durable phone. Of course, mobile card readers are also indispensable. He also bought a batch of books by the pound in the second-hand market, and filled the entire study room with books. These books were enough for them to have a good view for a long time, and tens of thousands of novels were downloaded from the memory card. Even if their family lived here for a lifetime, they would not feel bored. In addition, Zhang Qi also bought 10 computers, which were full of single-player games downloaded, and he also stocked up on 30 game controllers. Guo really likes to play games with him, and he definitely needs to prepare for the interactive entertainment project between father and daughter. For the sake of the health of the whole family, Zhang Qi also set up a gym specifically, which includes a treadmill, dynamic bicycles, yoga balls, and so on. A person's life is very long, and it is difficult to guarantee that they will not get sick. In order to cope with this situation, Zhang Qi also planned a medical room. There are defibrillators, blood pressure monitors, medical masks, bandages, alcohol, and other items inside. Zhang Qi also bought a lot of commonly used drugs, all of which are stored in spaces and basements to prevent expiration. Next to the medical room was a weapons room, and Zhang Qi, who had experienced zombie attacks, naturally knew the importance of weapons. He purchased some weapons available on the market, such as hammers, axes, swords, and electric batons, and stacked them inside. After decorating the vacation cabin, Zhang Qi originally wanted to buy some fruit and vegetable seeds, but the thought of a poisonous rain in the second year of the apocalypse that would wither everything dispelled this idea. However, it is still possible to raise some common livestock. He bought tools and built a chicken shed in the yard, with 2 layers of steel plates above it to prevent rain. He also bought dozens of chicks from the market and put them inside. Chickens are not easy to get sick and grow quickly. Most importantly, they can also lay eggs. After raising chickens, their family can have fresh eggs to eat every day, and eggs that cannot be eaten can be stored or hatched into chicks, which is quite cost-effective. In order to improve the safety of the shelter, Zhang Qi also bought dozens of cameras and installed them around the house. He carefully checked the surveillance footage to ensure that he could see every corner of the yard. Ding! You have a new task. Please try to increase the defense value of the vacation cabin within 24 hours. The system will issue rewards based on the strength of the defense. Ding! The current defense value of the vacation cabin is 175. The values come from protective nets, blade ropes, fire isolation belts, and surveillance cameras. Please complete the task as soon as possible. The task is here again. Zhang Qi, who tasted the sweetness, was not careless at all. He immediately went to the market to buy a batch of traffic barriers, which were installed on several main roads leading to the cabin. The car barrier he bought is paved on the ground, covered with triangular spikes, and once the tire is pressed on, it will definitely burst on the spot. To prevent malicious pedestrians from accidentally hitting the roadblock, Zhang Qi bought dozens of warning signs that read, "Do not enter private territory," and placed them on the ground 100 meters in front of the roadblock, as well as around the protective net. The defense value of the roadblock is 25 points. To Zhang Qi's surprise, the warning sign also has a defense value of 10 points. It seems that any facility that can keep people away from the vacation cabin can be included in the mission. Zhang Qi found a shovel and dug several deep pits between the fire barrier and the barricade. There were dozens of sharp iron spikes in the pit, with the root tips facing upwards. This is the trap he made, specifically designed for those who ignore warning signs, have their tires punctured, and insist on approaching the vacation cabin. After covering the deep pit with a thin layer of board and dust, it looks no different from the ground next to it. This thin plate cannot bear the weight of a person. If a person or zombie steps on it, they will fall into a deep pit and be pierced by iron spikes. If anyone or zombies lucky enough to bypass the trap, then they are not afraid. Zhang Qi pulled a wire and connected the protective net with electricity. The combination of protective net and blade rope is not conducive to climbing, and strong electric currents can instantly cause a person to lose control of their body. Unless the person can fly, it is impossible for them to enter the hospital. The defense value of the trap is 25 points, the power on protective net is 30 points, and the current defense value of the vacation cabin is 265 points. There was still some time, and Zhang Qi thought for a moment. He made a spacious dog house out of the wood in the space and placed it in front of the door of the vacation cabin. Xiao Sammy was playing in the yard when he saw the dog's lair and ran in with his tail wagging. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Home Defender dog, with a 50-point increase in defense value. Added so many defense points all at once. Zhang Qi opened a can of pet food and treated the little dog well. At this moment, a phone call came in. "Hello sir, we are delivering goods. There is a private territory sign in the middle of the road here. Can our car enter? Wait for me in place, I'll be there soon." Chapter 6. Closing work and obtaining a watchtower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, Zhang Qi arrived at the delivery truck. "Dude, did you order this gate? Do you need installation services?" Zhang Qi looked into the car and saw a double door made of pure steel, which looked thick and heavy. He nodded and said, "I ordered it, just unload it here, no installation service is needed." The delivery was made by two men in their 40s. They looked around and didn't see anyone except Zhang Qi. One of the delivery workers advised, "Do you want to install it yourself? This door is so heavy that you won't be able to install it alone. We won't charge you any extra. We'll give you 300 yuan, and we promise to get it done for you." Zhang Qi shook his head. He had already set up obstacles and traps, and the delivery truck could only park in this position at most. He certainly doesn't care about the installation cost. If these two people accidentally fall into a trap, it will be very troublesome. Besides, installing the gate is not a high-end technical task, Zhang Qi can definitely do it himself. He said, "No need, let's unload now. I'm in a hurry." The two delivery workers glanced at each other and whispered a few words together. "I've seen too many people who are beyond my control, and I still want to install the door myself. I'm afraid I don't know how heavy this door weighs." "It's okay, brother. He won't be able to lift this door. He'll have to obediently pay us the installation fee later." Although their voices were very low, Zhang Qi was very clear and had a rough idea. However, he did not intend to argue with these two people. He was indeed in a hurry. The height of this gate alone is 4 meters, and it can accommodate a small car to enter and exit horizontally. Zhang Qi measured and found that the thickness of this gate should be at least 4 or 5 centimeters, which is quite heavy. The two unloaders used all their strength to jointly unload the door from the truck. They were panting heavily, sweating and jokingly staring at Zhang Qi. Both of them were struggling to lift this door, and it was impossible for Zhang Qi to lift it alone. Moreover, in their eyes, Zhang Qi had fair skin and a well-proportioned figure, which seemed to have been raised in the office building. He was not the kind of person to show off his strength. The two of them were already ready to see Zhang Qi's joke. Zhang Qi ignored them at all and was too lazy to speculate on their thoughts. He walked up to the door, grabbed the frame with one hand, and with a fierce force, lifted the door up. Then, he turned around and pressed the door against him, half dragging and half carrying towards the small courtyard. The two loaders widened their eyes as they stared in the direction of Zhang Qi's departure, and it took them a while to regain their senses. "Damn it! You look so pale, how come you have so much strength? Is this reasonable? This door must weigh at least 400 to 500 pounds, right? How did this kid do it? Is he still human?" In fact, Zhang Qi was not easy either. When he moved the gate to the protective net connecting the main road, his face had already turned red, and sweat had soaked his scalp. He wiped the sweat off his sleeve and muttered to himself, "This physique is still too poor. You need to exercise hard when you have time." In fact, Zhang Qi also conducts strength training on a regular basis. He looks well-proportioned when wearing clothes, and has strong muscles when taking off clothes. His physical fitness is quite strong, but compared to the later stages of his previous life's abilities, the difference is too far. He is not satisfied with his current body. To better protect his wife and daughter, he needs a more abnormal physique. Zhang Qi first cut off the electricity on the protective net, and then began installing the gate. He was very quick, and after more than an hour, the door was installed. The safety level of this door is very high, and the quality is the best that he can buy in a short time. Although the price is not cheap, it is definitely worth it. At the moment he powered on the gate and protective net, the system sound came on. Ding! The task time is up, and the defense value of the electrified gate is 100 points. Currently, the total defense value of the vacation cabin is 415 points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the task reward. Watchtower. Under Zhang Qi's gaze, a column-shaped building that reached a height of up to 100 meters rose from the ground, standing next to the vacation cabin. Watchtower. Zhang Qi's eyes lit up, and the excitement made his heart in the chest beat even faster. This is a good thing. Imagine, as long as he stands on the top lookout tower and looks around, he can control the wind and grass around him without leaving home, anticipate danger in advance, and be prepared for the best. This is not over yet. Ding! Congratulations to the player for obtaining the home defense gift package, which includes doubling the gate defense value. Double the defense value of the protective net. Blade thorn rope defense value doubled. Double the attack power of the obstacle road. The trap strength doubles and automatically resets. The camera automatically tracks and never gets damaged. The door in front of Zhang Qi instantly doubled in thickness. Even wider than his palm, there are many sharp spikes on it. If anyone dares to touch the door, even if they are not electrocuted, they will still be pierced with blood by the spikes. The intersecting iron wires on the protective net have turned into the thickness of steel bars. Previously, Zhang Qi was worried that the protective net would be cut by tools, but now he can rest assured. The blade rope on the protective net flickers with cold light, and the blade wrapped around it is as wide as the palm of the hand. It is afraid that a light touch will scrape off a piece of meat, extremely sharp. Zhang Qi suppressed his excitement and ran to the trap to check. The depth of the trap he dug has doubled, and the iron spikes inside have become long and sharp, covered in sharp spikes. If any unlucky person steps on the trap, even if they don't die, they won't have much life. The obstacle road has also undergone significant changes. Firstly, the triangular spikes on top have doubled in size. Even the thickest tire that passes through this area will definitely burst immediately. Secondly, the obstacle seemed to be stuck to the ground. Zhang Qi tried several times and found that it couldn't move at all. Well, his defense has increased, but what should he do when his car passes by here? The system seemed to have insight into Zhang Qi's thoughts and immediately sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the home management system. At this moment, a green virtual interface appeared in front of Zhang Qi. The above is a detailed information about the vacation cabin, with clear records of the defense and durability values of items such as protective nets, bulletproof glass monitoring, etc. The current condition is brand new and undamaged. There is a whitelist function in the system, and as long as the person's name is pulled in, they will not trigger defensive measures such as traps, traffic barriers, etc., which is equivalent to a security guarantee. Zhang Qi's name is already on the whitelist, and he tried to touch the sharp triangular spikes of the obstacle road, but as expected, he was unharmed. He used more force, but it could pierce through the sharp puncture of the tire, but it didn't even damage Zhang Qi's skin. Good thing. Zhang Qi was originally worried that Guogua might accidentally touch the electrical protection net. She was thinking about how to inform Guogua so that she could firmly remember. With this whitelist, there was no need to be afraid of Guogua getting injured. He immediately added the names of his wife and daughter to the whitelist. This whitelist not only saves people's names, but also allows Zhang Qi to input the license plate number, so he doesn't have to worry about his car getting punctured. The puppy hasn't been named yet. The hellhound has not yet awakened its abilities. If it accidentally touches a trap or the power grid, it will be over. Zhang Qi thought carefully and decided whether this was a gift for his daughter or whether it would be better for her to name it after her. Tie up the little dog these days, so you don't have to worry about its safety. After finishing these, Zhang Qi clicked on the integration function again. Chapter 7. Online Shopping, Harvesting Fleece to the Extreme. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as Zhang Qi clicked on the points page, the system beeped. Ding! The current point balance is 0, and the system will randomly refresh the task. Completing the task will earn a point reward. Host can use points to purchase items in the mall. Mall. Zhang Qi curiously clicked on the mall icon, but unfortunately, the mall features have not been unlocked yet. What will be sold here? Zhang Qi murmured, filled with anticipation. The rewards given to him by the system were all very useful things, and it seems that the items in this mall are also very beneficial to him. Soon, Zhang Qi became completely familiar with the home management system and also discovered a very interesting feature. Watchtower invisible, this is so useful. Zhang Qi said and pressed the invisible button on the Watchtower details page. In the next moment, the Watchtower, which was as high as 100 meters, disappeared without a trace in an instant. There's no trace left. Zhang Qi was originally worried that such a tall building would attract survivors, but the invisibility function perfectly solved this problem. He set it up again so that the people on the whitelist could see the invisible Watchtower, so they wouldn't miss or bump into it. Zhang Qi looked around the Watchtower and saw that the entire body was made of bluestone material, seamlessly integrated without any artificial traces. At the bottom of the Watchtower, there is a hidden door that automatically opens when Zhang Qi approaches. At the center of the tower, there is a fully transparent glass elevator. Zhang Qi took the elevator to the top and was instantly attracted by the scenery outside the tower. The entire observatory is a circular space surrounded by glass, and from this position, one can see the city dozens of kilometers away. The nearby forest, creek, and road are all visible, and Zhang Qi only needs to sit on the observation deck to control the surrounding movements. If there were a telescope, wouldn't it be even more beautiful? Professional telescopes are very expensive, and after careful consideration, Zhang Qi finally gave up on this idea. Of course, he just gave up temporarily, and there are still many opportunities for him to purchase items in the future. At present, the money in his hands has even more important uses. Zhang Qi looked at the balance and found that there was still 1.05 million yuan left. He had already planned what to buy with this money. In the second year of the apocalypse, toxic rainwater will fall from the sky, polluting water resources around the world, and groundwater cannot be spared. Zhang Qi must purchase a powerful water purifier to ensure the safety of his family's drinking water. At present, the prices and quality of water purifiers on the market vary. Zhang Qi searched online and selected an economical and durable water purifier. To ensure safety, he ordered 50 units, and also stocked up 100 replaceable filter cartridges and hoses. All the remaining money, Zhang Qi bought diesel to generate electricity for the generator. The generator in the cabin has been around for many years and looks very old. It should also be replaced, but this item is expensive. Zhang Qi plans to wait until the end of the world to buy it for 0 yuan. He has already stepped on the stores that sell generators. After spending all the remaining savings, Zhang Qi stared at his Huabei and Baitiao. Zhang Qi usually does not shop online. Her Taobao and JD.com account has always been used by Chu Xinro. Chu Xinro is an online shopping maniac, and all of her family's seasonal clothing and daily necessities are purchased online. Therefore, his account has a high consumption, with a combined limit of over 90,000 yuan for Baitiao and Huabei. These money cannot be wasted. Although Chu Xinro seldom makes up, she spends a lot of attention on skin care every day. Every 3 or 2 days, she needs to apply a facial mask. Zhang Qi knows nothing about cosmetics. He found several brands commonly used by Chu Xinro through shopping records and ordered a facial mask worth 50,000 yuan. With the rest of the money, Zhang Qi bought facial cleanser, water cream, sunscreen, lipstick and other skin care products, and spent nothing. He had already used Jibei and Jintiao, so he couldn't continue using them. Zhang Qi flipped through the software and opened Pinduoduo again. Use first, pay later, he. When all the items are mailed, the zombie virus is about to break out. Who cares if he pays or not? Pinduoduo cannot display the limit by using and paying first. Zhang Qi tried and found that the item amount can only be stacked up to 5,000 yuan. If it exceeds this limit, it cannot be used. All of this money was used by Zhang Qi to purchase ultra thin umbrellas. Husband and wife life cannot be separated from pleasure, and to be happy and safe, this is essential. At this time, there is still a week before the virus outbreak, and Zhang Qi just needs to wait quietly for the delivery to arrive. Before the end of the world, he only wants to be by the side of his family. He took out his phone and prepared to call Chu Xinro. More than 90 missed calls. Zhang Qi realized that he had somehow muted his phone. Is it something happening at home? Zhang Qi quickly unlocked his phone and took a closer look. Most of these phone calls were made by Zhang Jijuan and Zhang Jinbao. They are now living on the streets with no money on them, and it can be imagined how difficult their lives are. Zhang Qi used his but to think about why this family called him, but he ignored it directly. The remaining small portion of the calls were not answered, mostly from his former boss. Zhang Qi only glanced at them and ignored them. There are still a few phone calls from Bai Ruixin. Bai Ruixin is Zhang Qi's ex-girlfriend, and it was her previous life that indirectly led to the death of Chu Xinro. Perhaps it was because Zhang Qi didn't answer her phone call, and she even sent several consecutive text messages. SMS 1. Qi Gu, why don't you answer my phone? Did something happen? SMS 2. I went to your company to find you, but your colleague said you resigned. What's going on? SMS 3. Qi Gu, I just went to your house, but you live with a stranger who even said he just bought this house. Qi Gu, have you encountered any difficulties? Oh, if only I were by your side, I could take good care of you. SMS 4. You know, I'm very wealthy now. If you have any financial problems, just let me know. With our relationship, are you still afraid that I won't help you? Zhang Qi only looked at the first few and then exited the SMS interface. He promised Chu Xinro that he would keep a distance from Bai Ruixin and naturally would not reply to her messages. Chu Xinro sent him several WeChat messages. In the past few days, Zhang Qi has been getting up early and going dark, and even didn't go home last night, which has made Chu Xinro feel heartbroken. Husband, our fruit has already started kindergarten and doesn't really need my care. I plan to find a job as soon as possible so that we can both make money and you don't have to work all night long. Money can never be earned completely, and the most important thing is the body. Husband, you've been too tired these years. Take a break. I and Guogua can't spend that much money. This text with warmth swept away Zhang Qi's fatigue in the past few days. He smiled and gave Chu Xinro a WeChat call. Wife, please give Guogua a few days off. Let's go to the amusement park for a few days as a family. Guogua has been thinking about going to play for a long time. Chapter 8. Shopping, happy times before the end of the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Qi locked the little dog in the attic, leaving enough food and water for the dog to eat in the next few days, and then went to the hotel to pick up his wife and children. Husband, where's our car? And whose car is this? From afar, Chu Xinro looked at Zhang Qi leaning against the car, her face full of confusion. Zhang Qi smiled and picked up the fruit that rushed towards him, explaining, our car has a minor malfunction and has been sent for repair. This car is rented. After finishing speaking, he whispered to the fruit, don't worry, I have already taken out the sugar and hidden it. Guogua chuckled and said in the same small voice, then let's secretly have a piece later. Mom hasn't given me any candy lately, I'm so greedy. Zhang Qi. Okay. But after eating, you need to brush your teeth, otherwise your teeth will grow worms. Chu Xinro leaned over and said, what are you two plotting behind my back? You're laughing like a thief. Zhang Qi wouldn't reveal his and his daughter's little secrets. He laughed and said, praising you for being gentle, beautiful, and considerate. Chu Xinro smiled at Bai He and said, you're really capable of making up. Alright, get in the car quickly, let's go now. With laughter and joy all the way, Zhang Qi quickly arrived at the Harbin Entertainment City with his family. This place integrates play, shopping, food, and movies, making it an excellent vacation destination. For a whole morning, they played Ferris wheel, pirate boat, and even strolled around the food street. Zhang Qi found that the snacks here were very delicious, and he couldn't help but feel regretful that he couldn't eat them again after thinking about the end of the world. However, he can buy some finished snacks, put them in the space, and take them out when he wants to eat in the future. Thinking of doing it, Zhang Qi took advantage of Guogua's carousel and told Chu Xinro that he wanted to go to the restroom. He headed straight to the food street and ordered a lot of delicious food. Octopus balls, grilled gluten, grilled cold noodles, fried chicken and roast duck, will cakes, stinky tofu and so on. 500 each. For a moment, the vendors in the food street were all making snacks ordered by Zhang Qi, and the bosses were all overjoyed. This was a considerable business deal. Due to the high foot traffic in the food street, each stall is well staffed and serves at an extremely fast pace. In less than 2 hours, all the snacks ordered by Zhang Qi are ready. Zhang Qi asked the boss to deliver the snacks to the nearby hotel he had booked, and then put all the delicious food into the space. During this period, Chu Xinro sent several WeChat messages. Husband, why have you been away for so long? Are you constipated? Are your hemorrhoids serious again? Why don't we go to the hospital and take a look? Zhang Qi couldn't help but laugh and cry. In fact, after obtaining the system reward ability, some of his minor flaws disappeared. No pain in the waist, no soreness in the shoulders, and hemorrhoids caused by prolonged sitting have completely healed. However, Zhang Qi still replied with a crying emoji, admitting that the hemorrhoids were serious. Only in this way can he explain why he disappeared for 2 hours. When Zhang Qi returned, Chu Shinro held his hand anxiously and said, "Husband, it happens that you're not working these days. I'll accompany you to the hospital to take a look." Zhang Qi comforted her and said, "It's okay, I have a plan in my heart. Don't worry, let's have a good time with the children these days." Chu Shinro nodded and said, "Okay, let's play for a few days first. If you have to go for a check-up, I'll be with you. Don't be afraid. The finger check is indeed quite chilling. That's why Zhang Qi has been dragging himself away from the hospital." "Dad, you're back." Guo, who had just finished riding in the rocking car, ran over with a happy face and hugged Zhang Qi's calf. "I want to play a little longer, Dad, give me coins." Zhang Qi glanced at the rows of rocking carts and took out a few coins from his pocket, handing them to Guo. Every time he picks up Guo after school, this little guy has to sit in a rocking car outside the supermarket for a while, but he still can't sit enough every day. After the apocalypse, what should Guo do if he still wants to play? After some thought, Zhang Qi took out the versatile Pinduoduo. "Shake the car, 801, it's quite suitable." Zhang Qi ordered a total of 10 rocking carts, including those from Pleasant Goat, Little Yellow Man, and Little Train, all of which looked very appealing to children. After playing for a day, Chu Shinro and Guo both felt a bit tired. Just after dinner, the mother and daughter were so tired that they couldn't open their eyes. Zhang Qi quickly drove back to the hotel and looked at his sweet sleeping wife and children, his lips slightly curling up. There is nothing happier than having the closest person live a healthy life in this world. He covered the fruit with a blanket and fell asleep holding on to Chu Shinro. The next day, Zhang Qi took his wife and children to the mall for a stroll. The entertainment city has the largest shopping mall in Harbin, with women's clothing on the first floor, men's clothing on the second floor, and children's clothing on the third floor. These are all affordable prices, and even higher up the floor, luxury brands are sold. After getting married, Chu Shinro has been calculating meticulously. Not to mention being a Valentine's Day gift, even the first cup of milk tea in autumn, she doesn't allow Zhang Qi to buy it. She always believed that two people don't need gifts to bond their emotions, and she has no ideas about romance. Luxury goods and such, Chu Shinro didn't even touch them. Zhang Qi thought that the end was coming soon, and he didn't buy anything valuable for Chu Shinro, which always felt a bit regretful. Therefore, he pulled Chu Shinro up to the 5th floor, where high-end brands of women's clothing were sold. "Husband, the clothes here are too expensive. Let's go downstairs," Chu Shinro whispered in his ear. Zhang Qi held the fruit in one hand and Chu Shinro in the other, saying, "Choose one that you can wear for important occasions in the future. It's very cost-effective." Chu Shinro thought to herself that she was right. She nodded and picked it up seriously. The staff of this women's clothing store have amiable smiles, and they spare no effort in praising Chu Shinro's appearance and figure, recommending several new sets of clothing suitable for Chu Shinro to wear. After trying on a few sets, Chu Shinro fell in love with one of the dresses. Zhang Qi saw her quietly glance at the bag on the display shelf and bought it all together. Amidst the sound of distinguished guests walking slowly, Zhang Qi carried a shopping bag and walked out of the clothing store with his wife, fruit bouncing ahead. "Shinro, wait for me with Guo, I'll go to the restroom." As Zhang Qi passed by the rest area, he placed Guo on a bench and strode towards the restroom. As soon as she stepped into the bathroom, Zhang Qi felt a sigh of emotion in her heart. There is a big difference between the restrooms in luxury brand areas and those in ordinary areas downstairs. The decoration costs a lot, and the interior is clean and tidy. There is also aromatherapy essential oil, emitting a high-end and light aroma. More importantly, the space here is spacious, and there are not many customers visiting this floor, so there is no queuing phenomenon. Compared to the queue in the downstairs restroom, with paper all over the floor, dirty and messy, it's a world of difference. It's great to have money. Zhang Qi muttered casually before entering the single room to drain the water. Just as I put on my pants, I heard someone walking in while talking on the phone. Chapter 9. Encounter, beating the former boss of the little man. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Oh Mr. Lee, I'm going shopping with my wife. Can we treat you to dinner later and have a face-to-face conversation? At least we have been working together for such a long time. Can you give me a few more days? After our company's Zhang Qi finishes his vacation, he will definitely work overtime to complete the project. Zhang Qi is sick, not resigned. Mr. Lee, I promise he will come back to work in a few days and definitely catch up with the progress. What? You want me to pay a penalty for breach of contract? Just give me a few more days. Hey. Damn it, hang up on me. This familiar voice. Zhang Qi pushed open the door and saw that it was really his former boss Zhao Yinhai. Unfortunately, he just wanted to wash his hands quickly and go out to accompany his wife and children. When passing by Zhao Yinhai, he didn't even give him a glance, so he thought he didn't know him. Zhang Qi, it's you. Obviously, Zhao Yinhai was quite excited when he saw Zhang Qi. Immediately afterwards, he cursed with a fierce expression on his face. Why didn't you answer your phone call? You really don't want to do it anymore. Where have you died after all these days? It's time to go back to work at the company, right? Zhang Qi finished washing his hands and looked up at Zhao Yinhai. This big-bellied bald and greasy man still can't figure out what his condition is. Looking back many years ago, when Zhang Qi first left school, he was deceived by HR to join Zhao Yinhai's company during an interview. After working for a few days, he realized that he was going bankrupt. Zhao Yinhai painted pancakes. He was too young and believed in it. He worked as a donkey and horse for the company, holding multiple positions and earning one share of the salary. He worked hard to pull the company up. The company began to make profits, and Zhao Yinhai's face finally showed. The originally agreed upon salary was cut in half, only giving Zhang Qi a promotion and salary increase. At this time, Zhang Qi had already paid the down payment for the house near the company. Thinking about the monthly mortgage and the still high salary after being cut, Zhang Qi gritted his teeth and admitted his misfortune. Later, with Guogua, Zhang Qi pursued stability. Even though Zhao Yinhai had a bad attitude towards him, he never considered changing jobs. Now, the end of the world is approaching, how could Zhang Qi still get used to him? He stared at Zhao Yinhai and sneered, "What's your attitude? Who is negotiating the company's business? Who is leading the new recruits? Who is following up on the progress of the project? Don't you have any pressure in your heart? Without me, the company can't operate anymore, right? How could you be so arrogant in front of me?" Zhao Yinhai's face turned red as he wanted to scold Zhang Qi, but couldn't come up with a word. After all, Zhang Qi was right. The company is currently in a paralyzed state, and no one can take over the projects that Zhang Qi is following. New business cannot be negotiated, old business has not progressed, and he is still facing breach of contract compensation. These days, his head has grown big. Over the years, being bossy and domineering towards Zhang Qi made him mistakenly believe that Zhang Qi was a soft persimmon that could be easily squeezed. Zhao Yinhai choked his neck and cursed loudly, "Stop farting. Without my company, you wouldn't have achieved what you have now. Let me tell you, Zhang Qi, I still have some influence in Harbin. If you want your wife and children to live a peaceful life, hurry back to work and don't force me to take it seriously." Zhao Yinhai likes to drink and go to bars, and has met many messy brothers. He is definitely trying to have some ulterior motives when he says this. Threatening him with his family. This is a scale that he cannot touch. Zhang Qi scanned the surroundings, it was great, no one was around. He punched out and hit Zhao Yinhai's nose. Zhao Yinhai let out a scream when he was beaten, fell backwards due to unsteady steps, and before he could even land, Zhang Qi made a fierce repair kick. This chubby guy weighing around 200 pounds was kicked out several meters by Zhang Qi and knocked over the trash can next to the sink. The tissue inside rolled out and covered his face. Zhang Qi, you. Before Zhao Yinhai could finish speaking, he was choked by something. He coughed a few times, and the blood he vomited mixed with 2 teeth. Did you knock out your teeth? Zhang Qi walked over and looked at Zhao Yinhai, who was writhing in pain on the ground, feeling a wave of nausea. He forcefully repaired a few more feet until Zhao Yinhai fainted before stopping. Zhao Yinhai's injury will take at least 2 days to wake up after arriving at the hospital. At that time, he had already taken refuge with his family in a vacation cabin, and it was difficult for the police to find him. In a few more days, there will be a massive outbreak of the zombie virus. Who cares if he has committed any crimes? Zhang Qi had already planned in his heart that after playing for a few days, he would move into the cabin with his wife and children in advance to prevent any accidents. After washing his hands again, Zhang Qi threw the toilet paper on Zhao Yinhai's face and then walked out. For 2 consecutive days, Zhang Qi stayed by his family with peace of mind, playing all the projects in the entertainment city. At the same time, all the products he bought online were also delivered. After packing all the items into the space, Zhang Qi drove home. Strangely, this usually unobstructed road had a rare traffic jam today. Is there an accident ahead? Zhang Qi poked his head out and looked at the long queue of traffic, only hearing the deafening sound of car horns around him, mixed with the sound of cursing and urging. The green light is on, drive. I haven't moved for several minutes, I'm still in a hurry. She must be a female driver, she's probably doing makeup repairs. Did you see that the driver is male or female? Maybe he has a sudden illness. An irritable old man walked over and angrily slammed the car window, saying, "What's going on? I'm in a hurry to go on a blind date, you're making me late." After waiting for a few seconds without any movement, the irritable old man muttered to himself, "This driver must have had a heart attack, right?" He lay face down on the car window, trying to see clearly what was inside. Suddenly, he seemed to have seen something extremely terrifying, his face turned pale and he took a few steps back, trembling and shouting, "Crazy, crazy. There's a crazy person in this car, eating a child." Chapter 10. Unexpected and Early Outbreak of Zombie Virus. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.